So we'll have to see if he can bring the same prowess. Obviously, we saw Quad Cannon play earlier, not to great success, however. It's going to be GeoBear, however, picking up his very, very powerful mid lane Azir.
Yeah, it will be very strong. He's very good at getting the poke damage down and then going all in. Brixton actually looks like he's going to be taking Ghost on Xerath, which is a really interesting pickup because it gives you a little bit more mobility. But if GeoBears goes all in on him, gets the shifting sands down, gets close up and personal with him, gets the Emperor's Divide down and splits him away from his team, well, you can't run through a wall, can you?
He's got flash as well.
Oh, he has got flash.
He's gone for a very TF-orientated set of summoners. You used to go flash Ghost on TF. It allowed you to have that flash card. You Ghost when you come into ganks to position yourself better. And actually is something that's not uncommon on Xerath in the mid lane. Very defensive, maybe not as defensive as the heal coming out, but still a fairly defensive setup for Brixton. Also means he's going to be able to position in team fights a little bit better, get himself round on the outside, make sure he's not focused. And he does have that flash if necessary, if he needs it to. So again, will be very safe, and especially going up against someone like Dan on Pantheon.
Yeah.
It means that if Grand Skyfall comes down and he doesn't have one of them, the other should suffice to keep him at safety.
It should be. Dan, of course, will have that opportunity to go for the early dragon as well. We've seen Infused do it earlier on. They would like to get that good pressure down on the dragon, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Wawa going aggressive in that lane, putting some pressure down and then going up with Dan, taking the early dragon with Pantheon, which of course you can do because of that passive.
Yeah, and we're just going to be waiting. The 3-minute delay has come in, so these guys are eventually now into Champ Select. Sorry,
well, they're into the game.
Rather. It has been a long day. It has been a very long day.
It's been a great day.
But it has been a great day of League of Legends.
Oh, out of my skin with excitement at the moment.
I believe we've potentially almost been casting 7 hours now, so very long slog through this, but it's been a fantastic...
It doesn't feel like 7 hours, it feels like 7 minutes, Scoundrel. Seven wonderful team fights of joy as we get into this short delay before we get into the game. We haven't talked a lot about bot lane. Graves Thresh versus Lucian Sona. Sona, of course, with a lot of poke, you're quite an aggressive laner, but if that Thresh lands some hooks, if he gets some flays down on you as well, which Wawa is known to do, you have to be very careful because you're going to melt.
Wawa's hooks have always been on point. I think this is the first time he's getting to play Thresh.
Yeah.
I think he might have played it once earlier on. However, they won that game very convincingly. Wawa did make some great hooks. Flash hooks were coming out left, right, and center too. And GeoBear is the first time he's picked up Azir, so we're going to see potentially some next level Azir play coming out from this guy because he is a fantastic mid laner and fantastic on Azir too. And you've seen Dan and Rifty on those champions and Rafa again on the Graves. This is a strong lineup coming up from Infused, but again, equally a strong lineup coming out from WOT, mate. We have seen Keys be an absolute beast on that Sion. His Roar of the Slayer shots are fantastic.
He can position them so well.
We didn't see him didn't see him miss a Roar of the Slayer at all against Tundra, and it was a real whole heap of pressure that he managed to put down and forced Tundra to use his teleport awkwardly, forced Tundra out of lane, allowed him to be safe against a ranged top laner, so maybe he can look to do the same against Rifty. Yeah,
Rifty though has got that Gnar, known to be one of the strongest top laners basically in the game at the moment, one of the strongest champions in the game. You've got the kite ability when you're in the mini Gnar form, and then you've got that mega Gnar form when you become just absolutely massive and do a lot of damage to the enemy as well. You can stun them up with your ultimate, you can lock them down with Wallop as well. It's very dangerous for you to get anywhere near that Gnar, and I think Keys might struggle a little bit in the top lane. It's not like playing up against Alessandra, who has to rely on mana, who has to rely on being able to spam her ice shards to get that wave down. If Keys is missing a few of those Roar of the Slayers and getting some Boomerang Blades back on him, he might struggle.
Interestingly though, Roar of the Slayer is actually quite a spammable skill. It's very low mana cost, and actually I have never ever really seen a Sion run out of mana just spamming that Roar of the Slayer.
That's
so
true.
That shouldn't be too much of an issue for Sion in the top lane. It will be an issue, however, if Keys manages to get consistent Boomerang Blades on top of Sion. That's going to be really hard for him to deal with. It's not like he's playing against Lissandra. Boomerang Blades apply a stack of Hyper, which gives him the ability to get a percentage health-based damage attack when he gets 3 stacks of Hyper procced. So going up against a Sion that built full tank last time, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and such a slow and lumbery character too. And there's so much ways for Nars to outplay a relentless onslaught, so that could come out the bag as well. So it's a difficult matchup for Keys right now. He did pick into the Gnar, however.
Yeah, he did pick into the Gnar. It was a choice, perhaps a team decision as well.
Yeah.
We've seen how good the Roar of the Unstoppable Onslaught coming out from Sion can be if you use it properly. Boosh used it originally on Unite that he played yesterday, did some great Ganks managed to burn some flashes and stuff. The only problem is in 5v5 fights, we've talked about this before, teams are a lot more coordinated. They know a lot more about when you're missing from your lane, when you can come in for those ganks. And I don't expect Infused to be any different. They will have that Ceirnan on point. They'll be watching him as he goes through the river, watching him as he goes for those ganks.
Yeah, again, you're looking at... we didn't see Keys play a similar way to Boosh playing Sion. So Boosh played this Sion that level 6 straight away Relentless Onslaught into another lane. However, Sion for Keys was very much top lane split push power, using the Relentless Onslaught in team fights. However, you're going up against Azir. So Relentless Onslaught into Emperor's Divide, you're just going to walk straight into... Yeah, exactly. Straight into this wall of shields. And it's such a good disengage against it. Actually, if you think about it, you think about seeing Roar of the Slayer coming towards you, it's actually not an immediately impacting skill. Yeah. It takes a while for it to wind up, and then even then you've got a large period of time to react to the Relentless Onslaught. So Emperor's Divide almost seems like the perfect disengage.
It definitely does. We are on to the Rift, guys, just waiting on the champions to be able to get out of the bases. And here we are, ready and raring to go. Infused leaving very quickly. It looks like we will see WOT going for a defensive start. They've already spread out across through their own little camp at the base as well, through their own base, and it looks like actually Infused might be going for something aggressive.
Yeah, there's a very aggressive movement here from Infused, but then there's an immediate clump up for the WOT side as well. They're going to see them gathering there. There's a nice ward coming out from WOT. The Spiderling is going to spot them out too. A nice Eye of the Storm coming out from Eye of Destruction, rather, coming out from Brixton to just force Infused back towards their own jungle. So we have seen a little bit of aggression, but we've never really seen a successful level 1 invade. Yeah,
not really. We still, actually, no, we did see one good level 1 invade where they managed to rotate round onto blue buff and steal that away. I can't remember who it was. They took out the jungler, and then they came out with the bindings as well from WYZIU.
Wasn't it Taric yesterday?
Oh, Taric yesterday, but WYZIU also got those couple of bindings off, and they pushed the Jarvan out of lane.
But they just forced him to go to the other side. Nothing actually came of it. No. The biggest level 1 invades we have seen was yesterday with the Taric play.
Yeah, in the final game in Choke.
Yeah, that was always really wonderful to see. Perilous Void versus Choke was a fantastic game. But yeah, a very standard start. It's going to let the bot laners take away these jungle camps, get that early experience advantage. Obviously, no discrepancy between the two, the Gromp and the Krugs. And they'll both end up being very similar levels in XP. Yeah,
and Dan's going to start off at his Gromp. Of course, getting that gift of the Toadstool lets you have that Thornmail-esque passive as you go through the jungle. Minions that damage you, get damage put back onto them. And I think the big lane here is going to be the mid lane. GeoBear and Brixton, known as carries for their team, they're going to be where we see a lot of damage coming out. And actually, something we see from Brixton a lot, he places an early ward just off to the side of mid lane.
We have seen Infused, when GeoBear does well, they get rolling. Yeah. When GeoBear does badly, like in the game versus FM, they really start to struggle. Yeah. So they need to make sure that the GeoBear on this Azir, we haven't seen a successful Azir yet, as the Roar of the Slayer being used very aggressively from Keys in this top lane, trying to get Rifty on the back foot. Not doing as much damage as he had done to Tundra previously, but WYZIU, they're getting that level 2 advantage, and starting to be fairly aggressive. We've seen WYZIU on Sona before. He did make some probably questionable hook coming down.
They're going to Jokerism, but they do have level 2. They can turn on to Rafa as well. Look at that. A little double tap from the Light Slinger means that Rafa has to be careful. Still hasn't hit level 2 as well. And Jokerism and WYZIU will, not on purpose, but just incidentally push this lane along as well. Getting the last hits means that you're going to push it a little bit quicker.
Also, you've forced Wawa and Rafa back, and they haven't actually hit level 2 yet. They'll take one more minion than they should hit that choke point. They're going to get level 2. So there's been a long time where Jokerism and WYZIU had the level 2 advantage, and they look to exploit it. Used a lot of mana on the side of WYZIU too. He has got 2 mana pots in his back pocket, so going to be looking to use those to make sure they continuously sustain up and then get the poke damage down from the Hymn of Valor also. But they're pushing them to turret. This puts them in a precarious position for Dan, but Dan is going to meet Panda right now.
Yeah, it's a face-off of the junglers in the river. Panda facing up against Dan. The blocks coming out as well. Dan is there. He's going to get a lot of damage down, but Panda is lots there. He gets in with the repel. Arcana Pulse coming in as well. Dan will pick up the kill, and Brixton not in a good position now. He will get double buffs of Dan. Coming. And WYZIU there with the exhaust Jokerism as well. GeoBear going to try and flash away, gets stunned up by the Shocking Orb, and Jokerism picks up the kill. Actually, the double buffs going across to Brixton as well was massive there. Gave him that red buff slow, meant that GeoBear couldn't escape as quickly, and gave him an ever so slight bit of cooldown reduction for that Shocking Orb.
Yeah, exactly. It just means he can spam Arcana Pulse. That's the biggest advantage of having this blue buff early. And look at at the damage going on to Rifty. Keys is starting to wind that Roar of the Slayer up. And this is good for you, WOT, mate. They've come out blasting again in this game. And to be honest, Brixton's going to be having a pretty decent time. Nice reaction from the bot lane, too. They had that wave pushed up, knew that Infused bot lane could not as easily react. And that's a kill also for Jokerism. Gives him a good start to the game, gives it you WOT, mate, a good start to the game, and Infused slightly on the back foot. Even worse than that, the kill did not go over to GeoBear, which means he is not getting that head start that he needs to make sure that he can be that big force that Infused are looking for.
Dan getting the kill is good, though, because it means he gets just a slight more opportunity to go for that early dragon if he decides to. Jokerism being pushed back a little bit here by Wawa, but Rafa's very low. Already popped that potion, means that he can't sustain up to the same degree as WYZIU and Jokerism. The Aria of Perseverance being there just means that WYZIU can spam out the heals as much as he wants. We did see a little bit of actually engage here by Keys in the top lane, trying to get onto Rifty, but he's going to go down. Rifty is a lovely fight there. Keys will try and chase onto him, and Rifty actually burns the flash. Keys still has flash available, obviously not when he's in his passive form, won't be able to pick up the kill, and Dan did just come in just to make sure that Nah was safe.
That was a little mistake there from Keys. He didn't have much mana left because he'd been spamming the Soul Furnace in lane, which is the highest mana skill that Sion has. He'd been trying to go very aggressive, and unfortunately he's given a kill over to Rifty, which is not a good thing. Rifty is a very, very good Nah player, so he needs to be very careful, as he's going to give him a big advantage. He likes to go aggressive with his Nah as well, get that early brutalizer and look to be a bit more of a force in lane, and then try to go towards a tanky build. Often you do see Nars go straight for that tanky build instead.
Yeah, that you do, but he is just going to go a little bit aggressive. He's got his brutalizer now as well, and will be able to put some pressure down onto Keys in the top lane. We saw Keys was actually winning out up until then, but not quite able to do it across the fight. Proper Panda coming in for the gank onto GeoBear in the mid lane. The problem is GeoBear can be so passive with Azir. You've got those Arise soldiers that you can be controlling from miles away. Means that at the moment, especially with Brixton being ahead because of that double buff, GeoBear's playing very passively.
Yeah, I mean, he's using the soldiers to a really good advantage, getting a lot of auto attacks on Brixton when he needs to. He's not even that far behind on CS, but Brixton has not himself been back yet. Panda trying to get a bit of a control of this dragon area by taking the Rift Scuttler, is going to get that away. No wards on the side of the map for Infused, but there is a Dan nearby and a level up on Propaganda Panda. This could be a big counter gank.
Oh, there's a Cocoon onto Wawa. He's going to go very low, almost goes down. Proper Panda does get played into the tower aggro there. Dan coming from the side will stun up Proper Panda, but the heal out from Jokerism also taking that smite means that he was able to keep himself alive. Jokerism has to flash away from the hook there. They almost picked up the kill. Meanwhile, we see some action in top lane. Again, Rifty going onto Keys. Nars him into the wall, not quite able to get the stun off, but doing a lot of pressure onto this Lumberjack Sion. Yeah,
he's really starting to win the lane out now, especially trading very effectively with him, not letting the Keys get that Roar of the Slayer continuously on top of him, because obviously that's the way Keys has been winning his lanes, especially against things like people like Tundra. He uses that Roar of the Slayer consistently. He's actually getting a lot of damage.
He doesn't have his passive form here. He can't go into Mega Gnar. Keys is going to fight it out, and he will get their kill.
Gets it.
Keys predicted so perfectly that they didn't have that Mega Gnar available, and meanwhile the rest of you WOT, mate, is like, well, we're going to take a dragon if we can. GeoBear off to the side, Arcana Pulse comes in, there is a smite, and it will go down to you WOT, mate. Prophet Panda picks that one up. Brixton locked off towards the side by Dan. The Shocking Orb doesn't connect, but WYZIU and the rest of the team are coming around the side. Dan gets destroyed, he gets demolished, and GeoBear, Emperor's Divide, right as the Arcane comes in. GeoBear actually dodges a mile away there with the Lantern to get himself away towards safety, but a good fight there for you WOT, mate. Pick up 2 kills, pick up a dragon as well, and they will try and push down this mid lane for their own trouble.
This is a bit of a fairy tale story here for you WOT, mate. They are the last team to qualify for the Four Nations. Everyone had them pegged as definitely one of the weaker coming in. They have shown some of the top boys that they've got the fire inside to go ahead and win these games, especially taking off unfavorable matchups. But right now they're swinging. They're taking the first dragon, and a big play by Keys in the top lane means he stays safe versus Rifty. Yeah,
lots of people said that Group A, which is today's group, was going to be a little bit more one-sided than Group B. We thought FM Esports and Infused, being the long-standing competitors in the UK scene, would take this relatively easily, would take the win, and would be going through in first and second place, depending on how they play on the day. But you WOT, mate, have really shown their force today, along with Cambridge Dongers, who put up a good challenge they just weren't quite able to take the wins. They usually had a good early game. They weren't quite able to take the win as they got into the mid and late game. But WOT showing they can beat FM and now showing they can take the advantage off Infused.
Yeah, and actually the Juggernaut enchant is where Propaganda is looking to move towards. So he's going to be a bit more of a tanky, at least going for a bit more utility. Whereas obviously you're seeing the Brutalizer going into the Warrior enchantment for Dan. But Dan is struggling at the moment. Yeah. He's getting caught out. He's getting a lot of damage, and a lot of it is Brixton playing fantastically in that mid lane, playing a Xerath that is just really, really powerful to deal with. He's currently 1, 0, and 2. He did a lot of damage to Dan as he got lucked up by Panda from that stun. In the meantime, Keys and Rifty going toe-to-toe. Rifty getting a lot of damage down. Keys needs to be careful at this moment in time.
It's the story of the top lane. Rifty has, of course, that Mega Gnar form, which just gets him a little bit more damage, gets him a little bit more tank ability in the lane, and Keys, trying to keep himself sustained, has got the Glacial Shroud to keep himself sort of tanky and give a bit of mana for that Roar of the Slayer, but Rifty's a lot better at dodging it than some other people that we've seen today. Rifty goes into the passive form again, and now is when we see Keys go a little bit more aggressive. He knows he can be a bit more comfortable.
Oh, Rapper.
Rapper's going to get caught up there. The Cocoon landing onto Wawa, but here comes the Grand Skyfall from Dan. Repel out by Proper Panda. Wizzyu's there. Has Pop Crescendo already. Teleport coming in from Keys. They're going to turn onto Dan, but a beautiful box from Wawa knocks them all back. Unstoppable onslaught. Is it going to get onto Dan? It's not, but he has to dodge to the side, and that's not where you want to be. Roar of the Slayer's enough, and Keys picks up the
kill. They're going on.
Wawa's the next target. Decimating Smash is there. Is they going to tank up the tower? They are, and it's Wizzy on that. Here goes Rapper down. Piercing Light goes out as well. Wizzy will go down. But a great little fight there for WOT. They pick up 3, they pick up the tower, and only Wawa getting a kill.
Gotta say, that was absolutely fantastic control of the relentless onslaught from Keys. He didn't hit the wall, which would ended up stunning himself. Yeah. He stopped it, moved into the brush, and obviously knew that Dan did not have that flash. Immediately turned onto him and picked up the kill with the Roar of the Slayer. And a beautiful dive means a massive advantage now for WOT, especially in that bot lane with a 3-0-2 Jokerism. Yeah. How many times has this guy stepped up to the plate?
Every single time. He seems to be the silent assassin. He picks up kills in lane. He gets to the late game and he gets absolutely massive. Geobert stunned up here in the mid lane, going to take some damage from Brixton, but he can dodge around. Has got the Emperor's Divide up if he wants to use it. Look at that harassment damage from Geobert. This is where we will see WOT just being a little bit cautious, because even though Geobert's behind, he still CS relatively well. Got double Dorans as well, going towards the Morello Nomicons, and he can put out a lot of DPS if he wants to.
Yeah, and right now, there's a lot of map control that is going in favor of WOT. They've got the time to send their support to get wards deep on the map, so they can start to look to control this mid area. They want to make sure they've got good dragon control as well, and make sure that Keys has good opportunity to move into a teamfight area. And to be honest, Brixton right now is just having his way with this mid lane. He's having to have a Wawa come up for support. He's going to get pinged out as he is standing on top of a WOT ward. However, there is big areas now that Infused can look to exploit. They have a very good team fight if Geobert is there. The sustained damage in a Dragon Pit is where Enzia will really start to shine. Next Dragon is up in 1 minute 35. Infused know about the timer. They saw the Dragon going down. So they need to make sure that that's where they look to contend. But you're going up against a massive advantage in terms of your AD carries. Rafa is really far away. He's actually going toe-to-toe here. He's going with the Relentless Onslaught.
Goes on with the Unstoppable Onslaught. Rifty is there. He's going to get Mega Gnar soon, but Decimating That's not going to connect. The Roar of the Slayer does. Keys might chase this one, but there's the Mega Gnar, turns into a wallop, and Keys knew it was coming up, decided not to go under that tower.
Yeah, people really underestimate the damage that Ceirnan can put out in this mid to early game with the Roar of the Slayer.
Geobert needs to be careful because Proper Panda's here, as is Wizzy, has the Crescendo if they want to use it. They might because of the right of the Arcane. Wizzy tanking up the tower, Geobert dodging as much as he can. Decide not to pop the Crescendo, and I feel a little bit like if they crescendoed there,
Keys in the top
would have held him slow, and there is Keys. He's going to flash the wall away from Dan. Nicely done by him, just using that the age-old wall flash that lots of people fail.
Yeah, he made sure he stood right close to it, though. He didn't want to fail that one. That would have ended up particularly badly. But they're getting a lot of damage onto this mid lane tower because Dan committed time to that top lane. They're going to get this tower.
They're going to get the tower. Proper Panda's going to come in from the side as well. Wawa will call out. He's in a dangerous position. The Crescendo's still available for Wizzy if they want to go in. They don't need it because Jokerism flashes forward. Wawa gets healed and manages to get away towards safety. But the heal burnt, the flash burnt as well on Wawa. They can rotate to this dragon, which is up in 18 seconds, and they'll still have the Crescendo available. Wizzy, obviously saving that for the opportune moment, hasn't quite popped it yet.
No, they're going to try and catch out Dan. They're going to try and catch out Dan. And
Brixton going forward. Dan is there. The Shocking Orb doesn't connect, but will they have enough damage? They will. Wizzy picks up the kill with that Sona power chord. Lots of damage coming out from him. A surprising amount of damage actually comes out from Sonas that people don't realize.
Especially in the early to mid game where the power chord is really, really strong. And this is going to be almost essentially a free Dragon. Although actually Rifty has head down. Giobe wants to have something to say about this too. They will potentially start to mount.
Hook onto Wizzy U. Dragon's going to go down to Proper Panda. He picks it up. Rifty is there. Brixton off towards the side. Manages to just lock him out. Proper Panda might almost go down. Aria of Perseverance keeps him alive. They need to be careful because Keys is around and he has the unstoppable onslaught available if they do go in for the fight. But it looks like WOT will just back away with their second Dragon of the game. And they are five kills in the lead. 3,000 gold ahead as well. And Brixton at the moment is an electrical god.
Yeah,
1-0-3.
Second Dragon buff, 15% extra damage to minions and monsters. Arcano Pulse as well as Eye of Destruction will be more than enough to clear all of these waves, and Infused will not be able to get anything from that. It's going to be really difficult now. They're starting to look a little bit tired, a little bit behind, not playing with the same vigor and enthusiasm we saw Infused start the day with. They look like that FM defeat has really taken its toll on them.
It's a big match for them as well, and they're not cracking out the comps. They're not going, oh yeah, we'll put Zinzao mid, we'll put Rifty mid, we'll put Akali down as well. Like, they're not just bringing out these things that we see coming out from Infused. There's no cheese. Where is the cheese, Infused? I expected mozzarella, and all you've given me is some plastic from Aldi.
Wow, other supermarkets are available.
Other supermarkets are available.
But anyway, it does look like the Dragon Seat is firmly held by WOT, mate. They have been swearing on their mum's life all day. And to be honest, their mum is safe and sound because they've been winning all of their games. They have had a really good resurgence this late part of the day on Sunday. The Group A stages have gone really, really crazy. It's been like a crazy day today. Everyone expected FM and Infused to waltz this group, but WOT, mate, have come from the rafters and said, no, we're not having any of that. And they've played incredibly well, and they're continuing that trend in this game.
I've been on a roller coaster of emotion, Nick Scoundrel. It's been exceptionally exciting, exhilarating, and enthralling as Infused try and get their way back into this game. You think a lot of that has to rely on how Giobe gets into this mid-game. Got his Morello Nomicon now. He's just trying to farm himself up, but still a little bit behind Brixton. He's able just to push out those waves ever so slightly quicker with the Arcano Pulse. Yeah,
and plus that Dragon buff is going to be ever so effective. Dan is really struggling right now. He's only just got that Warrior enchantment, and the Ruby Crystal being his only form of defense. Frozen Heart and Ninja Tabai, the first things finished up on Keys, going for that base health that he needs. I think he's not expecting to receive any burst damage of AP. You don't often expect to receive burst damage from Azir in the form of AP, so he's gone really to try and counteract and shut this Graves and Gnar down, shut the attack speed down from Gnar. Obviously, Gnar does a significant proportion of magic damage, so you can't really count out full armor being a solid defense against Gnar. The Hyper is obviously a big part of his damage when he's in.
This is going to be really interesting. WOT, mate, are pushing up towards this top lane tower.
Giobe.
Dan and Giobe not in the best position. They're going to drop a Proper Panda, but Brixton has to be careful because Wawa's on the side. Giobe goes down. Dan is the next target. Wizzy's got in the middle of the fight. Wawa gets onto Brixton, but he's going to go low. Proper Panda picks up Dan off to the side. A nice shocking orb onto Rapper, but here comes Rifty with the Gnar. Jokerism goes solo, but Rapper gets taken out. Brixton's still alive. Can they chase it back? No, Jokerism will go down, and Rifty's going to try and 1v3, but he cannot. And that is a good little fight there for WOT, mate. A triple kill for Proper Panda, a double kill for Keys, and they're unlocking the doors to this Infused Nexus.
Yeah, they're really starting to turn the crank now. Infused are struggling at this point. Rifty, the saving grace for the Infused team. He has played really well on this now. He's going for a very aggressive build, and it's probably quite wise at this point. You need to be able to do something in these team fights, and by going for that Trinity Force, by taking that Brutalizer, you're stepping up to the plate in terms of damage, but he's going to need more than that right now. There is no one that's acting as a full tank. It's only when he's in Mega Gnar form that he's really going to be able to frontline the majority of the damage coming out from WOT, mate. Right now, these fights are going so incredibly in favor of WOT, mate, just because they are surviving so long, using their recurrent cooldowns on Brixton to make sure a lot of damage comes down, and no one is able to pick off Jokerism. Wawa got dragged halfway across the red side jungle in that fight, and really nicely played. 5k gold advantage, which is a big gold advantage on the 420 patch at this point in time, and WOT, mate, firmly in the lead. They've got another 1 minute 30, and Dragon could potentially be on the cards again.
And if that's their third Dragon, if they pick it up, that's 5% movement speed. Just helps him with his rotations even more. Wawa flash hook misses because Brixton sidesteps. He has his dancing shoes on at the moment, not going to be caught out by Wawa there. Pops the body of the Arcane just to clear these minions more than anything. Make sure that Infused cannot push that middle tower. It's on a relatively short cooldown.
Yeah, definitely. He should be okay in that sense. And Keys is actually able to push this top lane. I think Rifty is just taking that Rift Scuttler, so he's got a bit of vision. Actually going to head towards the team. Doesn't want to... just lost that Mega Narf form. They won't be able to fight for the next 30 seconds or so while he looks to build his Rage Bar up. But you what, mate, have not had enough yet. They're trying to get engaged. Wawa obviously doesn't have his flash up after failing that flash hook, unfortunately. And Infused, they need to turn it on at some point because they're really starting to struggle now.
It looks like mate are going for a flank here if they can. They pinged out the bush near the Raptors, and they might expect Dan to be in there, of course, because he can Grand Skypull from there as well. Raptors starting to be, but of course the new shield that you get on these inner towers is giving the Infused team a little bit more protection. There's good poke coming out from Brixton and from the rest of the team, but if you can't get the shield down on the tower, it just continues regenerating on all the champions around it.
I feel like a lot of this game has gone south because we expected Dan on Pantheon to be aggressive and look to shut down Panda. They met in that river early on, and then you what, mate, got ahead based off that, and Dan has just felt like he's been behind a little bit previously. They're going to try and make a catch around this Dragon area yet again.
We've seen them try to do this before.
They're just going to, if you're just going to say no, we're going to push straight up. So this is going to be a potential engage. I think they're going to get caught out.
Coming in for the flank Rapper all the way at the back of it. There's the unstoppable onslaught. He gets onto Dan, who jumps onto him. Arcano does so much, but Rifty in the backline gets Brixton and WYZU. The wallop stuns him up as well. Rifty's going to keep fighting against this. WYZU is there. Geobear picks up Jokerism. A nice crescendo as well. Brixton versus Rifty. Brixton's just like, oh, right to the Arcane. I'll pick up one at least. WYZU so low. Rapper did go down, and Keys still alive. Rifty there. Oh, the snipe from long range. Proper Panda off to the side, trying to keep himself alive. Keys has to flash away with a decimating strike. A good fight for Infused. They pick up 3. They only lose 2. And that is a nice little team fight. Rifty getting onto the back line was so vital.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, Rifty is the key person right now to be dealing with the majority of the back line of you what, mate. They let Brixton and WYZU get locked up by that massive ultimate coming out from him. Unfortunately, Infused cannot capitalize, so it's basically a 2 for 3 at this point, which isn't a massive deal. Gives them a little bit of gold, but they couldn't get that mid lane tower, and it immediately looks like it's going to be a turn and burn. Panda, on this low amount of HP, is saying, let's go for Dragon.
Is he actually? That is so dangerous. He's been spotted out by a ward. He's going to rotate around and spot it, but if he gets too close to this ward, Dan can actually just jump across it. Dan will be spotted out by the tank ward and the normal ward. Panda started up Dragon here. WYZU is there with a heal, and they need to get the AoE heal. Dan not going to be able to fight before, and that's the third Dragon of the game going down for the side of you. What, mate? Dan, Arcano pulse to the face takes half of his HP. And as you said, he's not tanky at all. He's got that Kindle gem, but with the Warrior enchantment on his Ranger's Trailblazer, he's going full out AD and not really paying off.
This is that Dragon is a big win here for you, what, mate, because they obviously struggled. That team fight was technically a loss for them. They did manage to keep hold of their mid lane turret, but the Dragon that they picked up is so good because it allows them to pick up that movement speed bonus, and now it puts real pressure on Infused to react and win around the Dragon the next time it comes up, because that 4th bonus not only lends itself to being able to push towers more easily, lends itself to putting the pressure on for the following Dragon, where that 5 Dragon buff could go the way of Uwatmate, and right now Uwatmate playing incredibly potently. Rifty trying to go toe-to-toe with Keys right now.
Yeah, he's got the Mega Narf form coming up, so it shouldn't be too dangerous at all. Keys taking no damage at all with that Soul Furnace. He'll keep himself shielded, but at the moment, across the board, it's relatively even. Rifty did a lot of damage in that last fight because of the Trinity Force that he's built, as you were saying, but if he's not able to get a good Narb ultimate onto Brixton again, he's really going to struggle. WYZU was there with Brixton, wasn't able to get the crescendo off in time, but I doubt we'll see Brixton and WYZU positioning themselves somewhere where Rifty can get onto them again.
Yeah, I mean, that was just an easy area. He used the minion wave to bounce into Mega Gnar form and then used his Gnar ultimate so perfectly. I don't think you'll see Brixton and Jokerism anywhere near each other, for instance. They probably won't look to get near to walls. Obviously, it's hard to avoid walls in this new League of Legends map. It was previously anyway against the Gnar, so you just have to be careful. But I think what we'll end up seeing is another stalling period where we're going to wait and farm the waves up. We're not going to see too much action, and we're just going to see another contention around the Dragon area, of which Uwatmate should have the major advantage at this point.
Yep, they have got those 3 dragon buffs, all the extra AD, all the extra damage to minions and monsters, and they are ahead by 7 kills as well. Still a 5,000 gold lead for them. They're playing very passively considering how far ahead they are. But as you said, they'll wait out that next dragon. Jokerism is pushing down the bot lane, just getting some extra CS under his belt. He's about 30 ahead at the moment, so that's really good for him. But he's got his Yumu's, he's got his Infinity Edge as well. And if he can get in there with that Lightslinger passive, he'll definitely be melting down the health bars of Infused.
Panda picking up the Haunting Guides and Sorcerer's Shoes too, so going for the Juggernaut enchant, very, very old school Elise build, bit like the old ancient Golem into full magic penetration, just looking to be a real damage threat and also be a frontline tank. Oh, Wawa!
Wawa flash hook, but that's keys. That's not the target you want, Wawa. He pops the box down. It's not going to target anyone. The tower did go down there as well from Geobear using that passive, but not really going to be able to do a lot. Proper Panda off to the side is going to get caught out a little bit by Rifty, but the Arcano Pulse, there's the hook onto Proper Panda. They might go in onto this. He repels up. Is he going to be able to get away towards safety? There's still a crescendo on Wizzy. There's the Ruddy Arcane. Rapper's the target, not able to connect the dodging steps from Rapper. Very nicely done by him, but after a big engage from Infused, it looks like WOT come out on top.
Yeah, and actually, WOT will be able to push down. Obviously, this tower won't mean much as it is just the Azir tower, but will give them a bit of ability to push this lane a little bit further. Rafa having gone back, there's no real other damage on the side of Infused, so they're actually fairly healthy. And what I think that flash hook was about was the fact that they wanted to get Rifty straight into the fight. So they're going basically, when you have a Nara on your team, it dictates the times and when you can and cannot look for an engage. You can't look for an engage, really, when Gnar has just lost his Mega Gnar form. So definitely. Rifty was at about 75% rage. It takes around 2 to 3 seconds for you to build the rest of the rage and then transform into Mega Gnar. So I think Wala was looking for the engage there so they could immediately get Rifty into the back line. If he had landed a hook onto a target that was more ideal than Sion, you would have seen, I think you would have seen Infused explode into action at that point.
Definitely. So if it had been onto Brixton or Jokerism or even Wizzy, they could have gone all in, but they just weren't quite able to get that hook. Wawa has had one good hook in this game thus far, as far as I can remember. It hasn't quite been on point, hasn't quite been playing that Thresh to the best of his abilities, but you never know, Infused could come back from the ashes at the moment. They're 5,000, almost 6,000 gold behind. And you have to think that they're relying a lot on Rifty in those team fights. As you were saying, it dictates when you can go in, and if he's the only one on your team with any real kill pressure.
Oh, he's also the only one on the team who's got any gold, really, for Infused. The majority of the gold is not that close, but it'd be a lot further apart if Rifty wasn't playing his little socks off on this Gnar here. He's got a lot of damage, and now he's looking towards building into his tanky items. He's actually picking up yet another piece of damage, which is the pickaxe, and going to sit on that Giant's Belt for the time being. But Dragon up in 1 minute and 4 seconds. This will be something that I think WOT are really looking to put the pressure down onto. And Rafa taking a lot of damage previously. If someone from WOT gets caught now, Infused have a real chance to get back into this game.
But look at how far ahead Jokerism is in AD carry items. There's no static shift completed yet on to Rafa. There's a Yumu's, there's the Quicksilver Sash as well, double Dawns, hasn't even gone for level 2 boots because he knows Wizzy's around him as well. Brixton trying to push in with Wizzy here. We do see Wawa off to the side. He's going to get jumped on though. The Mighty Arcane comes down, the teleport as well. Will Wawa go down? No, he won't. Dan having to jump away. Jokerism is here. He's coming with the teleport. Nice Emperor's Divide. The crescendo landing onto Wawa, not quite able to pick up the kill. Rapper going down very low as well. Rifty from the side. Can he do anything here for Infused? The rest of his team's backing away. 17 seconds on Dragon. They should be able to get there almost in time. I think we'll see WOT starting up, maybe even melting it down. They have a lot of damage already.
10 seconds for the entire Infused team to make it to the Dragon Pit. Unless it's going to be a Miracle Grand Skyfall seal, I don't see this happening. Rifty looks like he wants to do something. He's just hit Mega Gnar form right now. He may be able to get a Miracle ult off, but I very much doubt.
Here we go, Grand Skyfall's coming in. Are they going to keep going for it? No, they're not. Proper Panda gets a nice cocoon onto Dan straight away. The Gnar does knock Jokerism into the tower, and Dan does pick up the Dragon. Nicely done by him. Rifty is just targeting Jokerism as much as he can. He's going to try and get away. Actually, a nice flash away by Proper Panda will get him off towards safety, and trying to get the slow there with the Roar of the Slayer off to the side. Not able to do it. We did also see Geobear going down to Brixton in the mid lane, but a good little fight there for Infused. Yes, they lose 2, but they don't give up that 4th Dragon buff.
Yeah, exactly. That was actually a win for Infused, despite losing a couple of members of their team. I actually think Panda should have chanced it, waited for the Grand Skyfall to come down, and looked to get the smite off. Obviously, it was a risk, but he backed out of the Dragon Pit and gave Dan complete control of that area, and then Dan was able to smite the dragon away with relative ease. It did look like Panda was trying to make his way back towards to get the smite off, but wasn't there in time. He moved too far away, and obviously it was just the threat of Rifty. You don't want to be anywhere near walls when Rifty is on site. So now Infused have got a dragon buff, and actually arguably a pretty decent dragon buff for them. It's the 8% AD and AP, which will allow them to step up and start to compete. Actually, I think the passive there from the Gromp actually took the blue buff away from them. Yeah, so not too bad to go on to Panda, but still a bit frustrating.
At least he's got the Athenes as well, so he's got a little bit of magic mana regeneration. Shouldn't be too hard for him, just means he can't quite spam out their spells as much as he would like to. Of course, if he does pick up a kill onto GeoBear like he has been doing, he'll take the blue buff away from him, so not the worst thing in the world, but at this point in the game, you really don't want things like that happening.
Yeah, and WOT, mate, are starting to stagnate a little bit. They have got a serious advantage, but they aren't looking to capitalize on it, which they really could be at this point. They're actually trying to get Baron control now. Very interesting if they do try and go for Baron. Looks like they're all grouping up for it. I think Infused do know about this, though.
Hashtag bait right here from your WOT, mate. Will they see us later? They're actually going to start up the Baron. And we don't actually see Infused doing a huge amount. They ping them out. I think they think it's a bait.
They think it's a bait.
Oh,
this is a great bait. I rate 8 out of 8.
I rate it 8 out of 8 as well. Your WOT, mate, will take the Baron away. They lose the tower, but they take Baron Nashor 29 minutes into the game. They might actually lose 3 towers out of this, which wouldn't be the best. And they're going to lose that mid lane inner tower as well. Not the best for them. They do have Baron now. They're still ahead in gold as well. 4,000 in the lead. They lose their bot lane inner tower as well. Rifty took that one out. But with Baron buff, they can now push a lot better than they would have been able to a few minutes ago.
Actually, the overall net gold gain is only ever slightly in favor of Infused.
It's about 500.
It was about 1,000 gold, but extra for Infused over there. They're just only ever so slightly.
And if they lose this tower straight away, that's gone already.
That's exactly, it's a big gain here for WOT, mate. This is a very smart player. I think they were quite happy to give away a lot of map pressure to their gun because they were going to potentially lose it anyway the later the game went on. So they've just they've lost it out, but they've got the Baron buff, which will, if they make use of it, at least take 2 towers. I mean, it's already worth it now that they've taken that 1 tower, but they can look to take yet another one. And if they do try and do that, they'll have a lot of worth. Guessing you could see hashtag worth from that Baron, because they can now use those minions. They can use the minions in separate lanes as well. They're not looking to group up as a team. You can have Keys in that top lane who won't naturally have great wave clear by himself because he doesn't have the damage. He'll have more wave clear now with those minions behind him as well, with the Baroned up minions going for those super minions. They're looking to go and make some plays around the Dragon, though, which will be up in roughly 3 minutes. So that is definitely something that WOT made. They lost that last one just through some clutch decision-making that unfortunately didn't go their way. And now they're looking to group and fight. They definitely have the potential to win these fights fairly easily.
Looks like they're going down mid lane. Rifty wasn't bot lane for a while there, just putting some pressure down. Wizzy going to clear out this pink board as well from Infused in the side bush, but we see how far back Keys is standing. He wants to try and get an unstoppable onslaught into the middle of this team after an engage has happened. The inhibitor tower is going to be the point of call here for your WOT. The hook not quite landing. Look at how much damage GeoBear takes. Right, the Arcane is a loss as well. He's going to dodge off to the side, dodges twice. Actually might have even been taken down if one more of those Rite of the Arcanes had hit. They're going to go for the inhibitor tower. It's getting down to about half HP. He's trying to timber that one down, take it down with his axe, and it's gone down. Wawa misses another hook.
This is
and
so
they're going to push for the inhibitor. Yeah, with the Baron, they're able to push very aggressively into the Infused base. They take the inhibitor down, and now they can push up towards top lane. Keys is very tanky. He can probably just tank up this tower while the rest of his team melts away.
He probably can. He's got that frozen heart, and obviously that negates tower damage.
Not even going to go through the soul of the soul furnace.
That's amazing. Actually, I didn't think about this previously, but the more resistances you have on Ceirnan, the better the soul furnace is, because obviously shield's damage is affected by resistances. So really nice to have that many resistances on your side when you're playing a champion like Ceirnan, but Infused really looking like they're struggling now, and they just came off the back loss of a defeat to FM, and ideally if they lose this game now, for Infused to go on to qualify, or at least stand a chance of qualifying,
they need to beat FM.
They need to beat FM, but then I believe this is difficult. I believe WOT may also need to beat FM, because then it would go to a head-to-head, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Oh, they're going to go in with the Grand Skyfall anyway. Wizyu has to flash away. Brixton's going to be the target. A nice crescendo from Wizyu. Brixton off towards the side, trying to chase his way away. Flashes away from Rapper, who flashed in for him. And he will get away towards safety. Rifty trying to jump the wall. Right of the Arcane comes out. Is it going to be enough damage on GeoBear? One more hit would have done it, but not quite enough. Face of the Mountain came out as well. GeoBear popped down that tower. And it looks like the rest of your WOT will rotate around towards the Dragon. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happens.
So if you WOT beat FM, they definitely qualify. So you
yeah, they go 2-0.
If you WOT lose and then
Wawa gets cocooned and unstoppable onslaught. There's the culling as well. Dan goes in. He's going to be the next target here for your WOT. Dan so low. Proper Panda, Ardent Blaze is not quite enough. Proper Panda trying to chase him down. Won't be able to get there quickly enough. And with the Dragon up, they want to rotate back around towards that. Yeah, if Infused win, if you WOT win 2 and FM win 1, they both go through. Because one team has to lose 2 games.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, so that makes more sense.
But if you WOT win this, lose to FM, and GeoBear gets caught out by the Cocoon, they're going to go all in on him. He gets destroyed! Absolutely melted on the spot. Rifty jumps away, tries to bounce away, leaves a crater in his wake. But will he be leaving the Rift in a second? He might be, because your WOT are putting a lot of pressure down onto this bot lane.
So no, then if Infused beat FM, it would go to another tiebreaker.
Yeah, we'd be into another.
That would be so that makes more sense. This is a really complicated situation to be in, but obviously your WOT are taking the precedent with this.
Oh, the hook missing, hits a minion. Wawa's going to get destroyed. Shocking orb, unstoppable onslaught onto Rifty on the backline. Dan trying to get the stun up. Keys is a tanky lumberjack at the moment, and they're going to be able to push down for this second inhibitor tower of the game. Jokerism doing a lot of damage, 4-2 and 12. We talk about him every time we see them play. Right of the Arcane comes onto Dan, not going to connect enough. Won't be able to get the kill, but they do get their second inhibitor of the game, and your WOT look like they might be trying to push for the win here. Actually decide to back away right at the last moment. Caster's curse there, Sona. And they will be 20 kills to 8 in the lead, 10,000 gold ahead. Inhibitor down, Baron up in 1 minute 30 seconds. You have to expect that to be the next point of call, and then perhaps they'll go for the win.
Yeah, I mean, they are ever so close to clinching their first victory in this tiebreaker. I cannot believe this story behind you, WOT. They came in as a very big underdogs compared to these big two, and they're just absolutely taking it to on the big stage where it counts. And look at the items coming down for Proper Panda. Got to say, completely out-jungled Dan this game. Dan has not had the best game of his life, and I think a lot of it was that early pressure that he lost at level 3. Hard to say that a complete jungle match was decided that early, but definitely didn't help that Dan couldn't then go on to be more aggressive with those double buffs. And right now, it's difficult for Infused to deal with Keys, because as Keys moves further into a team fight, he's a big body that you have to deal with, not because of the damage that he's going to put out, but because he provides a lot of CC when you're close to him. So obviously he can get that decimating slam off, and he can get the soul furnace, the roar of the Slayer to get the slows down. But because he is so tanky right now, Infused really looks struggling to deal with the Scion that is basically sat on their back line, just being more of an annoyance than anything. And obviously then Brixton uses that as a way to distance himself from the damage, then use all of his skills to get damage onto the back line of Infused. This is going to be Baron up in 13 seconds as well. I don't think Infused are even
Infused only have a rough time on the Baron. They know sort of whenabouts it went down, because they saw that your WOT ran towards them, of course, in that mid lane as quickly as possible after they took it, but they don't have the exact time on it, and I think Keys can actually he doesn't even need to join up with his team for them to take this Baron. Dan went back, Brixton is there with the Baron spawning. They're going to set up a little bit of a bait if they can. Wawa does need to be careful. Proper Panda trying to land the Cocoon across the wall, won't be able to connect. Keys coming to join his team as well. And Infused doing a little bit of a push down the mid lane now, but it's a Baron dance at the moment.
I think that they're trying to let you WOT know that if they go for Baron, they may be trading their inhibitor for it. So Wawa.
Wawa.
Wow.
Wow. He survives for a long period of time. Crescendo comes out as well. There's Keys. Emperor's Divide does come out, but Wawa went very aggressive without the rest of his team there. If Rifty had been there, that would have been a superb ult, because he would have gone in with Gnar and it would have been a lot of damage. But Wawa just not quite communicating.
Not only that, he hit Scion with his hook. Yes, it was a fantastic way to get a 5-man flay off, but a 5-man flay into nothing is a 5-man flay into nothing. Nothing more to be said about that. And unfortunately, a lot of disengage had to come out from Infused. After that, they've lost their big team fight control.
Super minions in their base as well, though, EpicSkillshot. Look at that. The tower's almost gone down. They've gone in for the engage onto GeoBear. Dan is the target as well. Jokerism will pick up him. Proper Panda onto GeoBear. That is a very dead as in. No more Galactic for you. Proper Panda does go down to the back lane. Rifty does a very good ultimate. Brixton off towards the side. He's going to fight up against Keys. Actually see Wawa respawning and having to try and defend his nexus, but one tower does go down. Rifty's going to go down as well. Brixton gets the shutdown. Wawa, meanwhile, wailing away on these minions. The nexus tower is so close to dying. No super minions left for them to actually push that in. So Wawa against the super minion. I think Wawa might actually win this one out.
They've got 17 seconds left now, and they're going to be able to get another inhibitor. I don't think they'll be able to finish the game. That was again Rifty playing out of his mind to keep Infused, I wouldn't say in the game, but stop them from losing immediately. Rifty's ultimate there essentially kept the WOT team from cleaning up, taking Baron, and ending the game. Rifty is really been the cornerstone for the Infused team today, and a pause has just come out quickly.
Well, it's a build we don't commonly see on Gnar as well. The Last Whisper, the Frozen Mallet, the Triforce, he's gone so aggressive. It means that Dan has to go a lot more tanky. Wawa has to be very tanky as well, and just not quite able to get the combinations off that they'd like in these team fights.
Yeah, he needs to be aggressive though. Look at his items, all of them spell, I am basically a carry top laner right now. Usually you may see Gnar go into a more defensive build, but he hasn't picked up any resistances bar the Mercury Treads. He's basically saying, if I'm not doing the damage, my team is going to lose. And he probably is incredibly right at this point. Dan is so far behind. We're just getting back into game. There was a slight pause there. I believe it was someone who had some FPS issues.
Anyway, we do see Infused trying to push out of their base. They can't go too far though, because Brixton and the rest of the WOT team are waiting in the wings, just coming back from base. Baron has spawned for them as well, so I expect to see them going for that soon. They got so much of the last Baron. You have to expect them to try and get the second one and try and push down this game. They could get that. They could rotate in 50 seconds to Dragon, and we've talked about it before, Scoundrel. Five dragons and a Baron is just so strong. Rifty trying to fight onto Keys. Does a lot of damage. Look at that. Keys, percentage health damage on him. Actually might not be able to face up against Rifty at the moment. Rifty's about to go Mega Gnar. The rest of the team's coming up, but Keys will get chucked into the wall. Has no mana as well. And Rifty will win out this fight, but at what cost? Here comes the culling. He's going to get taken down so quickly. That's an extinct dinosaur. And Gnar goes down. Now they can rotate towards mid lane if they want. Right of the arcane. Pop there by Brixton. Trying to get Wawa quite low. That he goes in with the hook. Not quite able to connect as Brixton flashes away. And it looks like they might just try and push down the mid lane. Geobet low as well from that right of the arcane. Proper Panda coming in from the side, and they need to be a little bit careful. Dan will spot him out as he comes around. But can he get onto Geobet? That is the question. Geobet trying to hide. Flash Cocoon. That is a dead Geobet. Nice lantern away. The crescendo hits up too though. The Emperor's Divide will lock them out of this, and that's a great positioning for that. Can't really get in. Collateral damage popped out as well. Cocoon not going to connect. And Wawa off to the side is going to get taken out. Brixton's unstoppable. Jokerism went in there as well. And a great little fight there for you, what, mate. They're going to rotate to Dragon, and we talked about it. Five dragons makes you basically an unstoppable powerhouse. 16% AD and AP boost. The 30% damage to towers, to minions, to monsters, to buildings, to inhibitors, to nexuses, and of course the 10% movement speed boost with a 150 true damage on hit effect. What can Infuse do?
Not a lot at this point. They're really far behind. They've only got that singular dragon buff to their name, and they've got a lot to catch up on. Rafa actually going from the Blade of the Ruined King, so he can kite a little bit more effectively. Also will be doing so much more damage to Sion, the guy that he's having to deal with on the back line, but really struggling to do so. However, the longer this goes, the better chance Infused have to make something of it. They've got very good late game scaling people in their team. Unfortunately, the only issue that they've got is because Rifty has gone so aggressive, they don't actually have any form of front line. Dan goes down far too quickly with absolutely no armor to his name, and Rifty unfortunately only has that extra health from the Frozen Mallet and from his Mega Gnar form. There are no resistances apart from that Mercury Tread, so he's going to find it very difficult to survive unless he's getting the ult off onto the carries every single time. Infused are going to really suffer because of this build, but it's a bit of a paradox because they are only in this game because of the build that Rifty has gone, but it's also going to be a
clutch. Here comes a very dead Gnar. He's going in with unstoppable onslaught, does get blocked off, but the right of the arcane from Brixton does so much damage. He's 10-1 and 8. Rabadon's Void Staffer as well. They're going to push for the base. They're going to push for the win. Proper Panda, meanwhile, is in bot lane, pushing for the inhibitor by himself.
Look at the size of
Wawa there as well. Sion is huge. They're going to chase onto it. Raptor is the target. Wawa will be the next. They're going to finish this game. And there's the crescendo as well onto Wawa. He's going to cry himself away from the Nexus, away from his base, which is getting destroyed by the rest of you, what, mate. It's an ace for you, what, mate. 8 out of 8. See you later. And here come your WOT mate, going to destroy the nexus, going to take the game. The first tiebreaker goes down to your WOT mate in a reverse of the earlier matchup.
No one would have predicted this from the start of the day. WOT mate came out after their first loss and have beaten back the top teams in the UK. These guys were the last to qualify for the Four Nations. They almost didn't make it. They were so close to not making it, and this is a fairy tale story for these guys. All they need to do now is go and face up against FM, and if they take that win, they are guaranteed a place next weekend at the Riot Four Nations live finals for €8,000. And to be honest, the way they've been playing, you can say they can take on anybody. But right now, we're going to go to a short break. We'll be back in a few minutes with the